Bucky, this is the Global Digest think tank group. So you are our guest today. You are in Iran or you are in France?
I am between Paris and Tehran, so I travel a lot between the two countries. I am French and Iranian citizen.
I see.
I am a business lawyer, and I've been working for the last 25 years in the Middle East region, and more especially in the Gulf between Dubai, Iran, and Lebanon. But also, I've been involved in geopolitics for the last 10 years, and I do some works on regional geopolitics, mostly based on Iran and Iran influence in the region, but also a lot on U.S. sanctions.
So
And yes, and basically that's my two specialties: business law and Iran geopolitics.
right. So what is your view on sanction? Probably U.S. and many international community, they have
You know,
they impose
yes,
sanction on Iran. How do you see
yes,
that?
it's not only on Iran; it's on all countries. Basically, when you look at international sanctions, uh, the idea is good because it could eventually, theoretically, it should help to bring what we see as democracy in the Western world in other part of the world. The problem is just that it's very theoretical, and when you live or you travel to sanctioned countries, you see that, and if you study seriously sanctioned countries, even though you don't go there, you see that the first target of international sanctions, it is to basically bring a regime, a local regime, toward democracy. But in fact, we almost have no example of success of economic sanctions, international sanctions, leading to democracy. Take the oldest country under sanction, Cuba. Okay? When you see Cuba, the regime is still in place. But it's been like now more than 70 years that the people are suffering. So my point is the idea, the rationales behind international sanctions and economic sanctions are good, but practically it is mostly harming normal people and not the regime that we intend to target. Okay? That's my problem. I believe that we need to sit and to review the regime of international sanctions and find why when the primary target of the international sanction are to target a regime, the regime continue, but the people are seriously harmed and damaged by the consequences of the international sanctions. Okay? I'm sure you're aware that people in Cuba even don't have access to some maybe basic food or basic medicine. Okay? Today it's the same in Iran. Iran is a very rich country, very, very highly educated country. But today you have a lot of problem for the people to access good medicine and good, I would say, medical services because of international sanctions.
in case of Burma, Burma also has a lot of sanction. The military coup leaders, military regime was sanctioned, but current sanction and previous sanction are a little bit different because now the international community more focused on selective sanction. They aware that people should be less suffering, and they put more sanction on individual who are violated or who are behind the violation, who are the main power, who violated human rights and international law. So selective sanction can be more effective since after selective sanction, those individuals can be only suffering. Example, sanction, traveling sanction. So those individuals cannot travel to many other countries. They cannot do business. Their company are sanctioned. And also, in case of Burma, it is good to be sanctioned, jet fighter or those used by military to bomb or strike any kind of people, even innocent people, hospital, they strike or bomb. So jet oil or jet fuel should be sanctioned. But still, it's not able to do sanction. Ordinary people, they don't need jet oil or jet fuel because
No, that's
only
sure.
by
That's for
military.
sure.
So
That's for sure. That's why I'm saying that.
collective
Yes,
sanction will
that's
be
why
more
I'm.
effective, right?
Yes. Yeah, no, I agree with you. That's why I'm saying that we need to review the regime of sanctions because I believe in any country that Europe or the US want to target, it is best to make very selective sanctions, okay, rather than putting general sanctions. I don't know the regime of Burmese sanctions, but I can tell you, for example, that in the case of Iran, those sanctions are very, very, very general. They are so general that even a very, very small scope of goods that are not under sanction, usually under the humanitarian umbrella, medical, agro-food, and stuff like that, companies, foreign companies, even in those fields, are worried and they are scared to do business with Iranian people, okay, even if it's not under sanction. So I fully agree with you, and I support this idea that we need to make very selective sanction on people, on companies, on activities that are basically targeting local people. Okay.
Right.
So, as you said, of course, military has to be sanctioned. Okay, because ultimately it's not the first thing that the people need.
Right.
I agree with you. But again, in the case of Iran, you have general regime of sanctions. Almost everything is under sanction. So
in Iran sanctioned by United Nations or different?
mostly by US and Europe. Okay. And yes, still some sanctions by UN related to human rights and other things. But those related to the nuclear activity were lifted. US, as you know, when Trump first time came back in 2018, he put back the sanctions even on nuclear on Iran. So today, I would say that it's extremely, if not impossible, to do legal business with Iran. And when you hear that, you can very easily understand that those who are targeted, those who are harmed, are the people. Okay? But I agree with you. To sanction military, to sanction some people related to human rights violation, stuff like that. Yeah, that's a good way to put sanctions. That's why I'm not against international sanctions. I am against the very general application of international sanctions without trying to find the best way, basically.
Right.
So I agree with you. I agree with you.
Right. The problem is sanction is, especially UN sanction is very difficult because it's required all permanent member Security Council approval.
Yes.
If one of them disagree, UN sanction cannot be done because it's different from those individual country sanction, UN sanction. UN is international, globally accepted sanction, which means it's more weight on legitimacy, and under UN sanction, it means the regime lost any legitimacy and credibility. So it's very important UN sanction, but the problem is difficult to sanction and difficult to get agreement by all these permanent veto country. So maybe you are a lawyer. Have you ever experienced?
We helped companies to get authorizations when they are not, when their activity are not under sanction. It's basically we helped companies to get clearance from US authorities or from European authorities to do business with sanctioned country. Okay. And we helped companies who were allegedly under sanction to recover their bank accounts and their basically their money from banks who wrongly thought that those people were under sanctions or were doing something wrong, which was not the case. So we usually work to assist companies that would like to do legitimate business, that are not violating the sanctions, to do it, to find the right financial channels to do legitimate business that do not fall under US, UN, or Europe sanctions, to do business with sanctioned countries or people. Okay?
So you are helping those companies.
We are helping those who are allowed to do business, but because they have some misinterpretation or they have problem with their banks, we help them to clear that their business is not violating any international sanctions, US, UN, Europe, or any other. Okay? But those who are under sanctions or those who are not doing legitimate business, we cannot help them and we cannot assist them because it's not legal. And
Right.
as lawyers, we cannot help them to bypass international sanctions.
So you have experienced a lot of helping, assisting Iranian company, probably, right?
Mostly, yes, some Iranians, but mostly some European countries because they are afraid of course, of mostly the U.S. sanctions. They're not very worried about European and UN sanctions, to be honest. They're mainly worried by U.S. sanctions and by the overcompliance of banks who will say, because it's Burma, because it's Iran, because it's Syria, because it's Cuba, we don't even want to talk about it. Okay, but Burma needs food. Burma needs medicine. Same for Iran. Same for Syria. Same for Cuba and other sanctioned countries. So we need to help those companies to do business and to find the financial ways to do it legitimately, legally, without violating any rules.
So in case of Iran, for ordinary people, for citizens, mostly Iranian import any food, or Iranian have their own local products sufficiently?
Yes, Iran import and export foods. For example, Iran exports a lot of food and vegetables to Russia. Iran export water to neighboring countries, mostly the Arab countries. Okay. And Iran is importing a lot of products from abroad. Protein, meat, and poultry from abroad, mostly Brazil. Okay. They used to import, of course, some cereals, wheat, and stuff like that. They used to from Ukraine, from Russia. Okay. And they produce fish. They produce some halal seafood, okay, like shrimps, and they do export them in a lot of countries.
This means Iran had a lot of seafood.
Not a lot, but we have a nice production of mostly shrimp. Yes.
I see. And
Caviar, but it's not a huge amount. But Iran export a lot of caviar, for example.
So it means Iran they have some kind of sufficient food by their own local products.
Oh yes, yes. Iran. I cannot say that they are 100% sufficient, but they have capabilities to basically produce a lot of food. Iran produced almost a lot of very simple but generic medicines. So Iran is a producer of medicine. 95% of the production is generic. Okay. So Iran is has a very large industrial sector and is able to produce a lot of products. A lot, not only food, by the way. Home appliances, industrial products, construction products, but is like any other market. They are dependent to the international market for many things. So you need to know that the other thing is that why I believe the sanctions, the way they are applied today, they are not working well. It's because at the end of the day, Iran is able to bring even non-legal product, non-legitimate product from outside into Iran. Okay. So we come back to this issue of sanctions. Yes, Iran could be kind of self-sufficient. Okay. We have a lot of local production of rice, vegetables in general, fruit. We have some local production of poultry, eggs, and stuff like that, some fisheries. Okay. In terms of meat, I believe Iran is not self-sufficient, but we have some meat production as well. But a lot of meat is imported from Brazil, mainly. So Iran is kind of self-sufficient, could be even more self-sufficient, but the sanction, mostly the US, but let's call it international sanctions, are harming the food and the agriculture sector. But you need to know that the food and agriculture sector is quite large in Iran. In terms of milk and dairy products, we are self-sufficient.
Maybe other things they need import, right?
Yeah, always. You have other things that you need to bring, like, some exotic fruits and stuff like that, but they are not essentials, I would say. But so far, Iran could be mostly self-sufficient for basic food needs.
Right. Whenever sanction, it is very difficult. The country who has self-sufficient food, difficult to sanction because they don't care because they have enough food within local products, so they don't care outside import or anything. So similar in Burma, we have sufficient food like rice, very much sufficient, over sufficient, and a lot of food, fruit and vegetables are available. That's very difficult
Exactly.
to do effective sanction in those countries. So that is the difficulty of sanction in those countries. Once become the military regime is brutal and violated human rights, international law, very difficult to punish them. But same, I guess, in Iran, you said there are enough food and self-sufficient, but maybe Iran is also very rich, as you said, because Iran
Yes.
has a lot of oil, but maybe they may not get very good price because sanction from
Yes.
US or Europe. So I don't know where Iran mostly they export their oil to make their own.
China. It's mainly China. It's mainly the export of oil. It's a little bit India but mostly China. And as you mentioned, at a very good price, which is also harming the people because this money belongs to the people of Iran.
Right.
And by being obliged to bypass the sanctions, of course, the buyer is taking some risks, but he's happy to take those risks because he's getting a very, very interesting discount from the Iranian seller. So, in terms of who is buying the oil, be sure that it's the most important part goes to China.
So that's why Iran will be difficult to sanction by United Nations because China will not agree, because they will always block. So
They agree from time to time because when it's necessary to put some political pressure, because let's say that nobody really wants Iran to have a nuclear power, okay, military nuclear power. So from time to time, Russia and China used to agree to put some UN sanctions, but not for main ones, and for obviously not for human rights and any other thing. But for the nuclear, I would be more careful the game that the friends of Iran are playing at the UN. That's basically my point of view.
Right. Usually those big power country, they afraid only nuclear weapon. In case of North Korea, also same. China, Russia, they don't care any other thing, human right or economic sanction, anything. But nuclear, they are become sensitive, because they might get also attacked by the weapon. So that is
Yes.
a dangerous thing. So that will be
A
difficult
nu-
to
a nu-
control, Once you
yes.
develop nuclear weapon, it's difficult to control.
Let's be clear. For example, for Russia, uh, Iran and Russia have very difficult relationship for centuries. Okay, and at least, but even before that, at least uh, 20th century and now, and for Russia to have a nuclear Iran, it's probably not something that they really want, and that's why on the nuclear issue uh, at the UN, Russia was playing, nice guy, bad guy with Iran, and so some sanctions finally were adopted, even with the support of Russia and China, because again, a lot of people don't want a nuclear Iran.
Yes. So big power, they are not favor with Iranian to have nuclear weapon. And
I think so. I think so.
even it may be regionally also, maybe Arab countries and neighbor countries
Oh,
more afraid.
definitely. Oh yeah, definitely. Yes, definitely. I'm not even talking about Arabs and Israel. That's even another issue. But yes, I tell you, not even big powers, but even small countries like Arab countries and Israel, they don't want. They're not afraid. Only they don't want. And as you see, they do whatever they can to not allow Iran to get a nuclear weapon. So uh, nuclear it's a big issue, and I think Iran. I mean, not. I don't think. I'm sure. I know Iran knows that very well, and basically, it's for them. It's a bargaining tool. Okay, and but it's taking too long. Too long. They really should negotiate a deal over the nuclear facilities, giving guarantees that they don't want to acquire the nuclear bomb, and finish with these sanctions that are really killing the people. And I believe, I deeply believe that with the end of international sanctions, Iran will be able to evolve into a much better country, even on all the other issues, as you mentioned before. So, but first, we need to get out of this situation of international sanctions that are really making the people of Iran weak.
Right. But by the way, even though many countries unfavor Iran to have nuclear, but some people argue Iran has already nuclear weapon. How how can you say? Do you agree Iran already have, or they are far from having a nuclear weapon? What is your opinion?
Listen, it's extremely difficult to know if Iran has a nuclear weapon already. One thing is sure: if you listen to people outside of Iran, A lot of people were saying already 10 years ago, they were saying that Iran in 2 months will get a nuclear weapon. In the last few years, some people, even the former US Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, said that Iran in 2 weeks can get a nuclear weapon. So I believe that Iran today has the capabilities,
Right.
definitely.
Very critical nuclear development, right? Maybe Iran may need a little bit from Russia or China nuclear capable country. I'm not sure. If they support a little bit, Iran can easily develop.
I think honestly, I believe Iran has the capabilities. Iran doesn't need anybody else now.
Really?
Yes, because they have the ballistic missiles, okay, and the only thing that it seems that is missing today is to switch from the 60-degree or the 60% to 90% enrichment of uranium to get weapon grade uranium, basically enriched uranium. So for me, most probably Iran has the capabilities, has the knowledge, expertise today. But to tell you if they have few warhead, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Or at least I cannot say, because it's very difficult to say today.
Because around regional or neighboring country already skeptical about Iran, even without nuclear weapon, the conventional weapon, Iran is usually regional power. So the smaller country, they already skeptical. If nuclear power, they will be definitely, they have to surrender to Iran, I guess, by most Arab countries or neighbor countries. Pakistan also have nuclear weapon, but nobody talk about Pakistan nuclear. Why they talk more about Iran nuclear?
Because first of all, Pakistan already has for many years, so it's too late, and because at the end of the day, Pakistan is still somehow friendly with the US and with some other countries, So the problem is that Iran is the fact that since the revolution, Iran turned to be an enemy of the US. Okay. And from many years now, enemy of Israel as well. So all this make Iran a very important target for the US and for Israel and some European countries. So that's why I would say that Pakistan main target is India and not really other countries. So things are fine, but Iran has a different situation, has different, basically,
Do you think if Iran become democracy country, the behavior of Iran foreign policy will be soft and will be more friendly with many countries? How do you think that?
If Iran evolved, if Iran changed its policy, it would be already a big step to, I would say, to a very safer environment for the country and for the region. Iran needs to basically rethink its foreign policy, okay? And there is a big debate for years now in Iran between what we call the liberals, the reformists, and I would say the conservatives, which are the hardliners. Okay, the hardliners have a very specific idea, that is not to talk to the West and only turn to East and South. So, which is basically Russia, China, and the BRICS countries and the African countries, South American countries, Asian countries.
Probably, I believe you are pro-democracy and you are also involved in Iranian revolution.
No, I am, of course. What for me, the choice is with the Iranian people. Okay, so, and I believe, like all people these days, they want to achieve certain way of life. Okay, and to be able to express themselves and to basically grow in a safe and in a very uh, good environment. Okay, so I am against war. Okay, I am against all those wars to bring by force Western democracy. I am against bloodshed from any side. Okay, and I think what is important is to allow Iranian people to live their best life, and so far they were not able to do it for a lot of reasons, including international sanctions. Okay, and I believe that international sanctions are not helping Iranian people to evolve and to make the country evolve towards something, that is best for them.
So you want to say, if there is no sanction, Iranian population will be better life, or they will be more prosperous?
Not only prosperous. It's not only about prosperity and money. It's also about when
freedom.
If you remember, uh, uh, about 7 years ago, we had the JCPOA, we had the nuclear deal. Okay, and for 3 years before Trump basically stopped everything, during 3 years, we had a lot of international companies, not only European, not only Canadian, but Japanese, Vietnamese, so a lot of Asian, of course, Chinese, but also a lot of Arab companies and investors and businessmen coming from all over the world to interact not only with the Iranian people, but with the Iranian decision makers. Okay? So I believe that a country where foreigners are not scared to come,
right,
countries where foreigners, international community is not prohibited to come due to sanctions. Okay? It's a country that could evolve and grow much better than a country that stays closed. Iran today is a closed country.
Right.
So
it means open country will be better for Iran and for Iranian economy, as well as Iranian population and neighboring all over international business people, right?
yes, yeah, exactly. This is not. Yes, exactly, John. What we say is that I am a big advocate of business diplomacy. Why? Because when you do business, especially with your neighboring countries, you don't want war. You don't want to destroy every bridges that you built with your neighbors. It would
Right.
happen. I'm not saying war could not happen. But if you get a lot of involvement between Iran, Saudi, Iran, UAE, Iran, Qatar, Iran, Kuwait, Iran, Iraq, Iran, Turkey, Iran, Afghanistan, you see, for example, Iran and Kuwait, there are interactions, there are business, cultural, and other interactions, and they have a good, I would say, relationship. Same with Qatar. With Qatar, Iran is sharing one of the largest gas reserve in the world, in the Caspian Sea, in the Gulf, Persian Gulf, okay? The relations are very good.
Okay.
So when you have business, when you have cultural, when you have a lot of means to exchange with your neighbor, it's quite difficult to start a war. It could happen, but it's more difficult than when you don't have good ties and good relations.
Right. Right. So
Okay.
the problem is opening Iranian the country. To open the countries is, as you said, the hardliner are there, the elite, the regime are there. I don't know what is their mindset because of so influenced by religious extremists, or because of Iranian historical background, or because of Persian Empire uh, thinkings, or why they want to be close the country, or is there possible the regime or the elite can be changed, or Iranian population support them? I don't know.
Because Iran, mostly through their 20th century history, they have not always good memories about Western involvement in Iran and in the region. That's why it's easy for the hardliners to be against the West and say, because we are against the West, let's go to East. The reformists, the liberals, that's not what they are saying. They are not saying, let's be only with the West against the East. Today, the Iranian reformists, the Iranian liberals, and I think it's a good position to have. Basically, they say, let's stop being enemy with the West. Okay. Let's stop to be kind of an enemy to our neighbors. In the meantime, let's be friends with the East. Okay. So I think I would personally think we need something in between these two positions, which is, let's be friends with all parts, or at least let's not be enemies with both parts. Okay. Let's have good relationship with the West, and let's have good relationship with the East. We don't need to only be friend with one or the other. We can be friend with everybody, and that's what a lot of Iranian wants. If you listen to some extremists from both sides, not only from the religious side, but also from the opposition side, we have some people who are politically against the regime outside of Iran. And that's fine. That's fine. But they are too extreme as well. You know, they're very extreme. What massive Iranians want, those who live in Iran, is to live in peace with everybody. Not to be best friends, but not to be worst enemy as well. Okay? So I think the position I express here, because I go quite often in Iran and I talk with a lot of people in Iran, most of Iranians, they want to live peacefully in a safe environment, to be able to express themselves and to do business and to prosper. Okay? So it's not only about money. It's not only about doing business and let's close eyes on anything else. No. It's about let's live in peace with everybody, because Iranian people, the majority of Iranian people, they are peaceful people, okay? And again, they want to live peacefully in an environment to have a lot of things to express.
Like individual freedom.
And the basic freedom, yes.
Right.
But also freedom from outside, because today they cannot go outside to travel, not because of Iran, because the people give them very difficult time to get visa. Okay? So they can only go to countries where there is no visa, like Turkey and very few countries.
I see.
So when I tell you that I'm against sanctions, it's another example, because a lot of people outside of Iran says Iranian, they want freedom. Okay, but the problem is not only local, it's only internationally, because a lot of Iranians today, they have the money. They don't want to immigrate and to go and stay. They don't want to be refugee. They just want twice a year, 3 times a year, they just want to go and visit some countries,
Right.
come back, visit some business partners, and come
Traveling,
back.
tourism, tourism.
Yeah, yeah, it's very difficult for them today.
Maybe it is also depend on, bilateral or, country to country agreement. That's also important, because
I don't know in Burma.
Because of Iran case, because the hardliner, the top level, they don't want to do any engagement. That is, blocking the way. So there may be a way, but if the top level are blocking the way, that will be difficult to negotiate, because country to country only they start negotiating with the top level. Ground level, people are not able to negotiate. Top level, that's the thing. I mean, that's politics, your government, Iranian politics.
That's why.
But how? I mean, the thing is, the system is how Iran, uh, your Iran leaders or elite can be time to time, how can be changeable. That's the thing. Every 4 years you have election, or every 5 years you have election. That might be another person can come in, and they might have different policy. But I don't know. Iran doesn't have democracy system, right?
They have election system, but it's a control system, meaning that there is a commission that decide who can be or cannot be candidate. So it's not the usual system that we know in the US or in Europe, for example, okay, you have elections, but what you need to know is there is a, a religious leader that remains always the same, okay, that's Ayatollah Khamenei, and he basically has the last word on anything. So in that perspective, it's not a democracy based on what we know in the West, which is the people vote for someone, and this person has a mandate to do what the people ask him to do, basically. Okay. In Iran, you have elections, you have a president that is elected, you have a parliament, but everything is under the umbrella of the leader, the religious leader, which is Ayatollah Khamenei. Okay, so in that perspective, it is not a democracy the way we know it. Okay, because
That's the main issue.
Yeah, the supreme leader, of course, is not elected. He's chosen once in a lifetime. I say lifetime because if he dies, like the Pope, you can choose another one. Or if he resigns, he has the ability eventually to resign.
You know, even Pope is now already changed before the previous Pope
Yes,
died, you know, but I
yeah.
think your Iranian religious leader should be changing the system, you know, because until he died, nobody can wait it, you know. So even Pope,
exactly.
they already changed. So there's religious political system in Iran, I guess. You are not purely, not only politics, also religious politics combination. Is combination.
Of course, as you know, Iran is called Islamic Republic of Iran. So it is the politic of Iran is based on religion. So I fully agree with you. And this is also something that is a big difference with Western democracy, the way we know it, is that usually, I'm not saying with Trump and his friends, but usually religion is not involved in politics in West democracies. But this is not what's going on right now in Iran. Iran today is maybe more close to the U.S. system than with one person deciding for everyone, even though he's kind of elected. But in France or in other countries, no, it's very different. It's very different.
I think
So
US is no religious leader has position or no title, not like Iran.
no title, but as you know,
Iran has official title and position took by religious leaders. So that is different. Even
no, it's very different. I agree with you.
Even Turkey, Islam country, but Turkey religious leader are not influenced, you know.
No, Turkey is yes, Turkey is
leader.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, Turkey is not. It's as we say, it's a laïc country, as we say in France. Even though the base, of course, and the somehow the state religion is Islam. It's not an Islamic Republic. Iran is an Islamic Republic. No, I was just kind of kidding with the U.S. Just trying to say that Trump pretends to be so religious, you know, and so conservative.
He doesn't have much religious, you know. Trump doesn't.
No, he doesn't have. He doesn't have much.
His voters are a lot of religious background. But I don't know, Iran, is possible to update or to amendment your constitution, Iranian constitution?
It's always possible, but it's you know, it's again, in order to achieve that, you need to a lot of evolvement, and a lot of people, I would say, are ready and would like to see some changes in Iran. But it's not easy, you know, it's not easy because it's extremely difficult today to have a very peaceful discussions about how to make the country evolve. It's extremely difficult. And from all sides, I tell you why, again, because we have, like in every country, we have hardliners, extremists in one side and same in the other side. In the middle, as I told you, the extreme majority of people of Iran would like to live a peaceful life, okay? A
Right,
prosperous life, but prosperous not only in terms of money, in terms of cultural exchange, as you said, tourism, to get back to the international community, to be
right.
able, for example, to be able to have bank account outside of Iran. Today, for Iranian, is extremely difficult.
See,
Okay,
so
it's not impossible.
you you even don't have basic right, right? Bank account is supposed to be everybody supposed to have, you know. That is
Yeah,
basic right,
so
you know.
yeah, so it's you in 2025, you know, uh, I am from a generation, you know, we saw the 70s, the 80s, even the 90s, you know. But I have to confess that uh, since 2000, since 10 years ago, a little bit more, maybe 15 years ago, I'm very concerned about what is going on generally in the world. A lot of countries, including Western democracies, are turning to hardliners. You know, I I am among those who believe that democracy is a danger right now, and we saw it in very big countries, very important countries, and we saw, for example, in Europe and the US, we saw the far right people, you know, and they are not nice people, to be at the door of the parliaments, of the, you know, presidency and stuff like that. So we are living, I believe we are living in a very dangerous area.
I mean democracy is deteriorating in many countries and is declining democracy in many countries. But I don't think it's that danger. But the democracy, I mean, liberal democracy itself is not danger, but the actor, the individual actor might be danger, individual actor. But I mean, compared to liberal democracy, there is a much danger system is authoritarian system, you know. It's one man leadership, one man control.
Authoritarian,
That
yes, of
is
course, because
that is
yes,
out of control. Democracy is still, you know, controllable. It's people at least control, you know.
that's exactly what I'm saying, is that I'm really concerned about our democracies turning into kind of a authoritarian system, and that's why I am really concerned, and I would say that even I am pessimistic a little bit. I am eager to see some important and quick changes in Western democracies, because people prefer to avoid making parallels between what happened in 1930s and today. But one of the biggest dictator of all time, Hitler, become a chancellor using democracy. Okay, so
He,
democracies,
he misused democracy, actually.
exactly, but he became chancellor through the vote of the people, you know,
Right,
making men believe that he can do miracles and he can make Germany great and blah 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 blah, things that we are hearing a lot those days in our very important democracies, US, but also a lot in Europe, a lot in Europe. So it's not the principle of democracy that is
right,
in danger. Democracy is a wonderful thing, but it's the way people are using it that become a little bit concerning for me. That
of course,
I
of
hope,
course.
I hope, I hope that we will not experience what
Right,
our ancestors experienced in the 1930s, which is a political man using democracy to turn it into a very horrible dictatorship or authoritarian.
right.
You
Hitler,
see?
Hitler is, you know, he failed to follow principle of democracy and he deliberately misused democracy.
Exactly.
He is opposite to democracy, you know. He
Definitely.
just grabbing popular vote
Exactly.
and but his action is opposite from democracy. That's why he committed a lot of genocide and
And
abuse, you know.
and if you read books about this period, he was convinced that he was a very good leader and not a dictator, and you know what I mean, a very good leader for German and for the world. It's some things that we hear a lot these days. A lot of people, they don't believe that they have the abilities to become a dictator, but what they are doing and what they are saying is quite close to what we saw in the past. Hopefully, people who say that it's not the same thing, hopefully they will be right. I hope so. Okay, but but exactly about 1 century ago, a very horrible man took the power using democracy, and after that, misusing, as you said, democracy to turn Germany into a horrible dictatorship. You see?
Right.
So we are in very troubled times, and we really need all to be careful, all to be careful. We need to worry
That's
about
why we are voicing, our voice, we are always talking, we are speak out. That's why it can be no room. It will be no chance for dictator or another Hitler. It cannot happen unless you speak out. If you keep voicing your voice, there will be no Hitler, no Hitler. So by the way, Bucky, you have no problem for traveling to Iran.
no, because I don't do politics, internal politics. I'm not involved in internal politics. I am not involved. I'm not an activist. Why? Because I believe this is my belief. I don't ask people to share my belief, but same thing. I need people to also try to understand my position. I believe we need to discuss and we need to uh, improve the exchanges between Iranian people, I mean, and international community. I believe
Right.
this is the only way. This is the only way to help Iranians to have a better life soon. Those who
So
believe that it's through bloodshed and war, I do not agree, but I respect all opinions. But this
right,
is not my opinion. I believe
right.
a lot of countries, a lot of citizens of a lot of countries can today travel to Iran having a visa. For us binationals, it's very easy because
I
I
see.
have, as I told you, I have both passports. But even if I had only the French passport, you can take a visa and you can travel without problem. Having said that, we need to keep in mind that there are a major dispute between Iran and France,
I see.
because 3 of our fellow citizens, 3 French people, are today in jail in Iran. Okay. According to the French authority, they haven't done anything, and it's only political decision. And according to the Iranian authorities, they have done some spying or something like that, and they for the moment they are leaving them in jail, and for some of them it's 3 years, and still no good trial and no good explanations. So this is this dispute. Besides that, you can travel. I would say normal people, basic people, have usually no problem if they respect the rules of the country. Okay. And just with a visa. But for the moment, the French authorities recommend to French citizens not to travel to Iran. We have a legal consulting firm in Iran. We hire Iranian lawyers for our needs regarding local laws, French and European laws. Everything that we do is based on registered lawyers in both countries.
I see. Licensed in Belgium, but you work in French and Iran. I see.
Yes, because I always worked in international. I worked in Dubai, in US, in France, in Lebanon, in Tehran, in Dubai, I told you. So I've always been very international.
Great. Thank you very much, Bucky. Have a good day.
You too. We keep in touch, huh? Thank you.